External genitalia of the male. So you should know all of these different pieces and parts we've been talking about. The one part that I haven't mentioned today is this right here. There's a little gland that sits in within the muscles of the deep transverse perineus muscle. That's also the UG diaphragm right there, right? That's the UG diaphragm. The deep transverse perineus muscle. It's called the bulbourethral gland. I think maybe in my 30 years of doing this, I've seen one. They're tiny, don't look for it. It does contribute some secretions to the urethra for lubrication purposes. I've never seen an infection of the bulbourethral gland. I've seen a lot of urethritis from chlamydia and gonorrhea, but not specifically of the bulbourethral gland. I've never seen a swollen bulbourethral gland, but know that it's there. So there are three things in the deep space. This is the deep space right here, right? Here's the superficial space. That's the deep space. There's the deep transverse perineus muscle, sphincter urethrae, and the bulbourethral gland in males. Females don't have one. They don't have a bulbourethral gland.
Show what deep and superficial.
The deep space is only the part that contains the UG diaphragm. So this is the deep space right here. That would be the perineal membrane right there, where the external genitalia is hanging off of. So this is the superficial space. If you look at the urethra in the male, you've got the internal anal sphincter, internal urethral sphincter is here. External is in the deep space on the other side of the prostate. So here's the prostatic urethra. The part that's inside the deep space is called the membranous urethra. And the part that's in the penis is the spongy. I went over that the other day. But now you know why it's called the membranous. It's within the deep space. The openings of the ejaculatory ducts, are up here in the prostate. The openings of the bulbourethral glands are down here in the spongy urethra. Because the UG diaphragm would be right here, under the prostate. So I want you to get this orientation straight. If during the drug buy, you took a bullet to your perineum, that would be a bad day for you. You know, the bullet's going to pass through the bulbospongiosus muscle, through the bulb of the penis, through the perineal membrane, through the deep transverse perineus muscle, then into the prostate, then into the bladder.
So you're like laying on your back and they shoot you in between legs?
Well, so he was on the floor with a gun, holding the gun up, and you try to jump over it. He shot you. Oh, close your eyes. You can envision this. Envision Dr. Britton buying some weed. It's gone. So the guy had his chopper. And it,
Oh, that's what a chopper is.
Can you please add that on YouTube? Dr. Britton specifically.
Dr. Britton.
No, Sheriff Britton.
I'll tell you one of the funniest, well, it wasn't funny to the guy, it was funny to me, but he was using a drill. He was on his knees like that, using a drill like that. And he got his junk caught in the drill. bit, and it's like,
No.
that's what a penis looks like when it has no skin on it. There was another guy, he's a PA down in Ardmore, Dale Archer, you know Dale Archer? He used to work for a urologist and a fireman down there, and this was a long time ago, I'm sure he's not a fireman now, well, he probably wasn't a fireman after the incident. His wife was out of town or left the house, and he tried to make love to the Electrolux vacuum cleaner. You know, one of those canister vacuum cleaners, not like a Charlotte or something like that, but a canister. So inside the suction hole of one of those things is a fan, one of those rotary fans. And he stuck his penis in there, and that's where his penis stayed. So they take him to the OR. They take him to the OR, and the surgeon is prepping the stub. And Dale is over there, he's going out to his truck and got his toolbox to take the Electrolux apart to see if he can go find his penis. In the OR, he's taking this thing apart. But the only thing that, when it got in there, it just mastered, it was just like ground.
What did they do for him?
You can cosmetically rebuild a penis. I mean, yeah. So, okay. So this is what we're going to see today. I want you to go ahead and extract the testes from the scrotum, because you're going to have to do that to remove the skin off this area. Remove the skin of the penis, find the vessels and nerve arteries thing. There's a suspensory ligament of the penis and a suspensory ligament of the clitoris that anchors it to the pubic ramus. You can find that pretty easily. Okay. Yeah, Paul.
Is that the ligament that sclerotizes and that, with the condition that Ronald Reagan had? I forgot what it's called.
Wait, is it
No,
aponeurosis?
I'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
The Dupuytren's
Yes.
versus the Peyronie's disease. We'll get to that. Oh, here it is right here. Okay, so in a cross section, this is what you're going to see here. First of all, when you remove the skin, there's a superficial type of, you're going to see the superficial veins on the penis. And then there's a superficial fascia here. And then under that fascia are going to be the deep dorsal nerve artery vein of the penis. And you can see them over here. There's the deep dorsal vein right there. The two arteries on either side and the two nerves on either side of them. Now, you have arteries and veins of the corpus structures as well. Here's the urethra. So once you've identified these structures here, I want you to go ahead, by the way, this is called Buck's fascia, right there. The deep fascia of the penis is Buck's fascia. I want you to cut this penis in half so you can visualize these structures here. Now this is Buck's fascia. There's another fascia right here called the Tunica Albuginea. Each of these three corpus structures is surrounded by a thickened fascia called the Tunica Albuginea. That's the thing that sclerosis in Peyronie's disease, the Tunica Albuginea. To fix it, you just go in, the urologist will just go in and remove the tunica from it. I haven't looked yet, but there's a difference between certainly circumcised and uncircumcised penis. The foreskin is just, in a normal uncircumcised penis, is just gently retracted over the glands in a living person. Etiquette says that if you have a patient and you're doing a genital exam on them, you move it back so you can see under it. You always want to look under the foreskin because you don't want to miss melanoma or some other type of cancer growing in it. You can have cancer of the head of the penis.
What are they doing? Like running around naked outside?
No, you can have melanoma spread from other places. Yeah.
It's true.
Did you know, speaking of that, did you know that there is a huge nudist thing near Stroud? Stroud, it's called something like Oak Tree Farms or something like that. Not the oak tree in Edmond. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, bike riders. They have the national nudist thing there, conference there this past summer. It's what?
They have a bike rally thing about Facebook.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. They have a nice website. I've looked at the website, but what the hell is this all about? Because it was in the Daily Oklahoma that the nudists were coming to, you know, we got the nudists coming to Stroud, we got the black satanic people coming to the Civic Center. Welcome to Oklahoma if you're not here. If you're not
Next
from here.
year's CE will be in Stroud.
The what?
Next year's CE conference will be in Stroud.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Oak Lake Trails.
There you go. Oak Lake Trails. Okay. All right. Etiquette is that once you've examined the glands of the penis, then you as the provider move the foreskin back over. You don't just leave them like that. The structure of the penis, the erectile structure, if you take this is a bulb, so this is the corpus spongiosum here, and you take the two crura and you just drop them down onto there, then that's what it looks like here. These two, the heads of the two corpus cavernosum fit into the back of the glands right here. If we look at a testicle, I want you to bisect a testicle long ways, like this. The outermost structure that you're going to see is the Tunica Vaginalis. We know about that with hydroceles. There is a thickened coat around the testicle. That's the Tunica Albuginea as well. Not related to the Tunica Albuginea of the penis. You can take your forceps and gently pluck, just reach into the testes and pull the streams up. These are fine hair, they're finer than hairs. These are the seminiferous tubules where the sperm is made. There are miles of tubules in each testes. The sperm makes its way to the rete testes that you can see, and into the straight ductules or efferent ductules, into the head of the epididymis. There's the body of the epididymis. The tail of the epididymis is down here, and now you're into the vas deferens. The vas deferens, just before it joins the ejaculatory duct, it widens out. That's called the ampulla. It was on a slide from yesterday. Make sure you make note of that. It's a wide area of the vas deferens just before it joins the seminal vesicle as the ejaculatory duct. Infection that travels, like from STIs, that travels up through the vas deferens, can infect the epididymis, that's epididymitis. It can even infect the testes, that's orchitis, O-R-C-H-I-T-I-S, like an orchid, orchitis. Embryologically, when the testis is forming, there are two little appendices that form. One called the appendix testes, one called the appendix epididymis. They're just little remnant structures. But every once in a while, they can torse, and they can become gangrenous. And it's painful, not as painful as torsion of the testes, but it's painful. And actually, if you look at the scrotum, you look at the testicle on the scrotum and stretch the skin over the testicle, you can see the hemorrhagic appendix is called the blue dot sign on the side of the scrotum. That's a person with a torsed appendix testes. I've only seen it once, but it was like, oh, there is a little blue dot. It looks like a little ink dot right on the side of the, you're looking at it through the scrotum. The female external genitalia, you have the introitus refers to the entrance of the vagina. But when you are looking at it like this, the opening of the vagina, the general opening, is called the vestibule. You have the two labia minora and the two labia majora on either side. These things can vary in size within individuals. I mean, between individuals, not within individuals. That was stupid. Okay. The clitoris is at the apex up here. The clitoris has a hood on it that's formed by this redundant tissue right there, of the labia minora. You can see the nerves coming in here from the pudendal. Here's the clitoris right here. Right above the clitoris, that thing is called the prepuce. There's the suspensory ligament that I mentioned earlier. And the fat pad that's over the bone, the pubic bone, where you'll see the pubic hairs, they're called the mons pubis. But that's only in females. Guys don't have a mons pubis. Just a reference to that fatty area over your pubic bone. You may hear the expression where you have pubic hair in the mons and then around the labia majora. You may hear that referred to as the female escutcheon. E-S-C-U-C-H-I-O-N, escutcheon. The female escutcheon, that's the covering essentially around the entrance. For those of you that do plumbing at home, as the pipe goes into the wall, that little silver thing that's around the pipe, you know what I'm talking about? The little cover around the pipe, that is called an escutcheon. So that's the same use of the word, escutcheon. In case you're on Jeopardy. Any questions? There's one other set of glands that we need to see here. Well, you're not going to be able to find them, but they're called Skene's glands. Skene's glands open into the vestibule here and act lubrication, I guess you could say, lubrication. Skene's glands. They're like the bulbourethral glands. I've never seen an infection of Skene's glands I had to worry about. Bartholin's glands, yes. The opening of Bartholin's glands are down here at the base, or bottom of the introitus. And the purpose of the vestibular gland is for lubrication of the vagina. So, to complete the circle, if the vestibular gland is estrogen dependent, if you have postmenopausal women, one of the major complaints that they have, or symptoms of postmenopause, is vaginal dryness. There you go. Erectile tissues, we've kind of already been over this. They arise from the pleura, just like they do in the male, come up and over. You just don't have the corpus cavernosum, spongiosum forming part of that, because the urethra is down here. Here's the nerves and arteries. We've kind of beat those to death. Any questions about those? The pathway. It'll make more sense when you get into the cadaver today. Here are a couple of clinical correlations. One is circumcisions. Circumcisions in the male, quite common among different countries. And basically, there are different types, different ways to do it. One way is called a plastibell. Another one is called a gonco. But the plastibell is this little thing right here. What you do is you put the plastibell on the penis, you pull the foreskin above it, and then you tie off the foreskin. You tie it off real snug with a ligature, and that means that what's past the ligature will eventually become gangrenous and fall off. You can pop this little tip off here, and that way they can pee out it, while the bell itself is still on the penis. You get it? Okay. That's a plastibell. That's probably the most frequently one used. Female circumcision is practiced in some countries. It's considered by most elsewhere in the world to be a form of mutilation, it's not in the same context, considered in the same context as circumcision of the male. And this usually involves doing something related to cutting or removing the clitoris. So, if you ever get a chance to see a documentary on that practice, it's just horrible. So, in my estimation, it may not be in your culture. Bartholin's cyst is what I was mentioning earlier, vestibular gland abscess. When you open these things up and get the pus out of them, a lot of people will do a process called marsupialization. And what that means is you've got the pouch there where the abscess was, you go in and you kind of rake it out. You get the capsule, the wall out of that thing. It's a surgical procedure called marsupialization, prevents them from coming back. This is infection of the gland's penis is called balanitis. This happens to be from herpes. You see this a lot in primary care. Anywhere where you're dealing with teenagers and young adults. This would be like a recurrent herpes infection of the penis. Very painful, shallow ulcers. Produce lymphadenopathy in the inguinal region. I don't know if Rodrigo was the guy that took the picture, or if that's Rodrigo's penis, but one of them. Okay. Make sure, as I said when we were doing the head and neck, that you distinguish balanitis from blepharitis. Remember, I made that point. I think that's all. Yes, ma'am. Oh, well, where did that go? What did it just do?
We can skip it.
Yeah.
No?
There you go.
Phimosis is what you see in uncircumcised males where the foreskin scleroses down. It mostly occurs in older men, but it can occur in young boys too. It's where the foreskin scleroses down, and they can't retract it to pee or to have sex. So what happens in phimosis is you have to do a circumcision to fix the problem. Was there anything else I missed from the slide? You see this, it's pretty common. you know, you just refer them to to a urologist and do a quick circumcision on them, and problem solved. Okay. All right, let's go to that.